Good morning. Sorry for the slight delay. I was just waiting for YouTube to connect. Today is the 12th of September 2024 and I'm going to go through my trading plan for today. First up, let's take a look at the economic calendar to see what could move the market. 8:30 today Eastern time we had PPI and we saw a bit of a negative reaction to that. And we do have some major news coming up today. We've got the 30-year bond auction, monthly budget statement, so 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock are times to watch out for today if you're still in a trade. Okay, as for levels on my screen, we're looking at the 1 hour time frame for the S&P E mini futures. This is the ES ticker. Let me open up my pen. So we can see we had this big move up yesterday and we took out a few levels we were watching and we've come into this region here, this region of confluence, exactly where we are right now. And so this is kind of an area I'm watching potentially for a higher risk bounce to continue this big move up. It's a big green candle with more volume than the previous day as well, so looking pretty bullish. So I'm going to watch for a bounce around pre-market lows area, around 55, 58, and the pre-market low area is 55, 62. So that's the area I'm looking for a bounce. We've got the 20 moving average on this hourly chart coming up to meet that area, and we're now above the 200 moving average, so we're above all the moving averages, so we're looking more bullish than bearish right now. However, if we do lose that level, then we can look for a short down, a break and retest, targeting this area for a bounce or target, or it could be a target if we're short, and that's at 55.34 to 55.40. And that's my next bounce area of confluence. We had a bit of a big reaction down there, so potentially we may still have some volume sitting there. Looking at the volume to the left, we have a little bit of a volume shelf as well, so I quite like that area. So they're the two levels I'm really watching for bounces. As for rejections, unless we get back up here, and we could keep an eye on this region here, lots of bottoms of pivots, and that is 56. It's a psychological number, round number as well, 5600. That's a rejection area, and I just can see why I've got this level from before. We could also watch this level here as well. There's not enough there, lower volume, 55.85, but I prefer 5600, that area, for the rejection. And that's it really. If we do come back down into these regions, I quite like 54.02, 54.10, 54.20, this region here, where we came in yesterday for the bounce as well. And you know, it's possible because we saw this big movement up, there's no reason why we can't have the same movement back down again. Okay, that's it for ES. I'll come back to that and look at some order flow at the end. SPY next, same as ES. I quite like the rejection at, oh, that's a bit big, let's bring that down. I quite like the rejection at 557, 558 area. Big area of confluence you can see there. Big volume shelf as well, so I quite like this area. So maybe if we break the trend, come back up, retest, I quite like the rejection. Not sure I like the break and retest long into it because of the amount of volume above, but we can keep an eye on that as a scalp. If we bounce off this pre-market low, I'll look for a long. Again, I'll take the ES long, and again I'm watching this region, yesterday's low, 540 to 542 for the bounce. SPX, we've got this nice rejection area. Are we going to open into it? No, we're going to be opening close to it. So around 55, 65 area is a rejection area on SPX. Next rejection area is coming up into the all-time highs. Potentially there's 56.16 as well, but I think I prefer 55.85 over that. And we've got a few pivots. Yeah, I like 55.85 as well. So we've got tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, bottoms, tops, bottoms, bottoms, and then potentially a top. So we've yet to retest that recently. So 55.85 reject, higher risk 55.63 reject, And then we've got bounces down at 5400, 5401 where we were yesterday. And we could also watch this region here, yesterday's high, for a retest, 5500. Next is NASDAQ. This is the NQ. Let's just draw in another trend line. Look at that, so a hold in that trend line. I like the break and retest of pre-market high, long, into this area. This was an area of confidence. It's also the point of control where we've got the most amount of volume. So break and retest of 19 to 19,300, and where are we now? 19,350, that area there. And then bounce wise, we could watch the bounce where these two pivots were, so that's around 19,166 to 19,100, same level as watching yesterday. And we can watch the bounce around in this region as well. We can see the 50 and the 200 about to cross as well, so potentially watch coming down there for the bounce. So that's 1900 bounce. QQQ, pretty much the same. We've got this rejection area at 475.10, 475.11. Lots of volumes, a volume shelf over here to the left on the volume profile. We've got pivots, double top pivot, bottoms, big area of confidence there, so we've yet to come back up and retest that. That's a rejection, but I do quite like the break and retest of pre-market high into that area as a target. So we can watch also pre-market high, which is 470, and then bounce wise I like 461.10 for a bounce right on this point of control. So we can watch this region around here for a bounce, 461. And of course we've got this area from yesterday as well for a bounce. Next up is crude oil. Broken this trend. Let's just draw the trend in. Running down this trend for some time. Broken it, and we did come into it, pulled back, we broke out of it yesterday, come back and retest that trend line, and now we're running up. So we are potentially, got that trend line there. It's a bit too wide, that one. So this is the trend line to watch. So we're looking for a rejection. We can look for the break and retest the trend line down. But I quite like the bounce actually off a pre-market low, and that's an area of confidence, and it's this level here I quite like. So 50, 67, 57 bounce. Well, it looks like we just bounced off yesterday's high as well, and we can also watch for the break and retest of the pre-market high back into that area. But we have got the 200 moving average directly above and a little bit of volume over here. So we want to, so this is where the volume area is as well. So it's going to be hard trying to get through that area, but we can watch that as for a scalp as well, knowing that we may coming into a bit of a brick wall there. And it's an area of confidence. We've got bottoms of pivots, tops of pivots as well. And we've yet to come back to retest that area. So I like the rejection at 68, basically 69, or we can look for the break and retest at that level, and we can assume then that the 200 moving average will be pulled further down and we'll be above it. Gold, is it finally breaking out? It's actually made a new all-time high. We talked about this for the last few days. So I want to see it break out and above and come back to retest these regions. So this is the area I'm watching for the retest, and that is 50, 25, 63. So in no man's land above here. Or we can just look for some bullish play and wait for it to push out, pull back, and then watch for the break it back out again. So I do quite like the break and the retest into this region here. So 25.63, potentially down into this pivot 25.57 area for the bounce. So let's keep an eye on this region here So finally broken out. It's taken a long time. We tried it here, we couldn't. We tried it here, we couldn't. Tried it here, we tried it here, and now finally we have. But we talked about this for the last 3 months because we've been watching it go between this channel, and it looked pretty aggressive when it came back and pulled back into that pivot and broke out. It came back and retested that area twice as well. So this is a strong pattern. And you could say it's also a bit of a cup and handle pattern as well. That's exactly what you want to see it do. So that's a bullish sign, and we've finally put in new all-time highs. If we pull back down into this region, 25, 26, preferably 2500, then I'll be looking for a bounce. But this is trend continuation, so let's try and watch for the trend up. RTY. I'm going to probably get rid of a lot of these drawings. I'm sure I got rid of most of these drawings yesterday. I'm not sure why it doesn't save. Broken the trend. Big area of confluence up here, bottoms and tops of pivots, so we can watch this area for rejection. 2140, that's a daily level, the yellow line, and we've got the 200 moving average up there as well. And then I quite like a break and retest of this pre-market high area into that area as a target. I mean, bounce wise, probably yesterday, oh, that's not a very good straight line, probably around this area for a bounce, which is 2115. And that's all I'm watching RTY. And then we've got YM. More volume came in yesterday, but we had a big move. Keep an eye on the break and retest of the pre-market. I know we're far away from it at the moment, but we'll be above the 200 moving average. Bounce wise, quite like this area here for the bounce, and that's on where the 50 is, 40,000, 40,750, and potentially, oh, actually we're below there now anyway. We're up. I was about to say watch this area as well for the break and retest long. But if we get back up into the pre-market high area, then I quite like if we come back down into this region for the long. Overhead resistance is sitting at 41,200 at this region here, so we can use that as a potential target. And so if we get above pre-market high, notice also the reduction in volume as well, so it may work to our benefit. And then finally Bitcoin is back up from the lower 50s, heading towards 60,000. Let's go to the day on this one. Big area of confluence there, so we need to break through that area to continue to trend up. But we've got our lower trend line there. We've been watching this trend line's been in place for some months now, or this channel. So still waiting for the breakout of this massive big monthly cup and handle pattern. And as you can see, volume's kind of been declining over time. Big one, the old high volume day, but we have been on declining volume, so eventually we can expect to see, hopefully, it push up. Levels, we can watch for rejection at 59,000, this region here, or the break and retest of that area as well. Or we can watch for a bounce round at 52, down to 51. So let's take a look at the order flow on ES, and then we finish there. Go back to the hourly. So just something interesting to note on the daily. So yesterday we had this big wide range candle, and then we had big volumes come with it. The previous day we had this small narrow range candle, but we didn't have much less, and then the volume was below average. So for the size of the candle yesterday, you would have expected to see more volume come in, and you know, it could be the fact that we were all the way down here at one point. Shows a slight sign of weakness, but we've had increasing volume on the sell-off, and then a little bit decline in volume on the pullback apart from yesterday's. So just keep an eye on that. that's the top we can be watching for. We could probably look for rejections around there. Just wondering whether it's worth just drawing this in to see whether we're narrowing down. And don't forget, we do have, if we go on to the, let's just save that one, go to the monthly. We talked about this a while back. I've removed the line since. I think it's more evident on the SPY. Oh no, hang on, let's go back. No, I'll go back to the SPY because that's a better chart. It goes back. It goes back where we want it to, early 2000. But anyway, there's a decent trend line. Let's go on to the SPY. Where was it now? I cleared all the images off. So we do that region there. I'll put these back on, then that region there. We're kind of in that area, so we're kind of more bullish. Look at that pivot. But anyway, we'll clear that. I'm not too interested in that. So let's go to ES, look at the order flow. I just want to see how close we were. In fact, if I go back to that, you can see this month we pulled right back down into that trend line, the one we linked from there. That's why I just want to see how far away we were. I know we were breaking through it at one point. ES, let's look at some order flow. Is there anything interesting going on? Bottom right corner, this is where I look mainly when I get into rejection areas or bounce areas, look for divergence. And we're not seeing anything too dissimilar, kind of doing what it's doing. It's sold off, sold off. We had a bit of a bounce there, not much of a bounce, and sold off again. No, there's no real cumulative delta divergence. You can see we can draw that line in there, draw that line in there. It's kind of doing the same. Large orders. This is the 30-minute filtered. Some large orders up there. So potentially that's an area. Where's that? That's where we are right now. But also we had some orders sitting there as well. So potentially that area could be a, well, we were down here. That could be a break and retest area as well, 55.74 if we're looking for a stop. But it's nothing unusual in the order flow today. But we're not really near any levels. What's our first level is watching? Kind of watching for a bounce at 55.58. Yeah, we're not quite close there, 55.58. So we have got these levels here at 55.59, 55.60. So we could see a bounce around there. We've got some large orders sitting there waiting. So that gives us a bit of a clue as well when we want to go long. Okay, that's it really. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. On my other stream on the same channel, this YouTube channel, is the order flow, and that's live all day today until the market closes. Okay, thanks for watching.